It was Jay-Z in his song The Takeover. First line said, "Take over. The break's over." Yo, the break is over. I am inviting you. I am challenging you. I'm telling you that it's time for you to take over. It's time to take over. But before we get there, I have a question that I want to ask you. Have you had your dose of pep today? No? Don't worry. I've got you. Now let's go. Welcome to the Pep Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Jay. I hope that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great Black Friday. I hope you spent all the money that you wanted to spend, that you had to spend. And if you didn't, then I hope that you just window shop and just watch Christmas movies on television. Either way, I hope you had fun with your family and with your friends. I hope you had enough food. I hope that you had the greatest food coma ever in the history of Thanksgivings. But most of all, I hope that your hearts have been filled to overflowing with gratitude. I know we had a great time. And now you're here with us on episode 15 of the Pep Talk Podcast, the podcast that's here to cheer you on and to coach you up. Again, my name is Coach Jay. I am a life coach in the DFW area of Texas. And it is my great honor, my deep pleasure to be here with you all every Monday, bringing you all pep, deputizing you to bring hope, to be hope dealers, and to bring that hope and that pep and that joy into your communities, into your friend groups, into your families. Remember, you are an agent of hope. You are a deputized member of the Pep Squad, and our jobs are to go out into wherever we are, to be scene setters, to be culture shapers, to be community bringers to the people that we have in our lives that we are so blessed and privileged to be in community with and to have interactions with on a daily basis. And so I'm glad to be here with you today. And I am so glad to challenge you. So glad to challenge you. But first, I need to recap because in last week's episode 14, I told you that as we begin to close out this year, it is natural to want to sit and to reflect and to think about everything that's happened this year, the good, the great, the bad, the terrible, or as Charles Barkley says, the terrible, the ugly. But my challenge to you from last week was to not rest on what this year has been to this point, but rather to look ahead and use his last 4 or 5 weeks of the year to really start putting things on wax, putting your plan into motion so that you're not at January 1st, 2024 in the starting block trying to get a good run going. No, you've already started your run. You've already worked up your sweat. And so now it's just about hitting that stride and keeping it moving while everybody else is hitting the gym for the first time. You've already got your rhythm going. While everybody else is planning out their business, you're putting your plan into motion, right? And so you're giving yourself a head start. And I'm not even going to say it's an unfair head start. It is a fair head start because you are redeeming your time and you are making sure that you have everything in place now so that when January 1st comes, you don't have to worry about making a resolution or finding a one word to live your life with. You've already done the background work now. And all you have to do is just keep working it. Keep working the plans, keep revising where necessary so that you are able to outrun, to outlast, to hit them quick, get out fast. Come on, Hamilton. And so this episode is kind of a continuation of the challenge that I gave you in last week's episode to start now. Don't wait until later. Start now. And so, as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, that line from the Jay-Z song, The Takeover, came to me. Take over. The break's over. And I'm here to challenge you, and I'm here to tell you that the break is over. The break is over. And some of y'all are like, yo, I'm still on break and I'm looking forward to Christmas break. If you're a teacher with me, y'all know we live for the breaks. We love the kids, but we live for the breaks. Anybody out there? Can I get a witness from anybody out there? But here's the gist of things. It is time for you to take over your life. It's time for you to get aggressive. Come on, somebody. It's time for you to get aggressive with what you want in your life. So many of us have spent this year and every year prior watching our life go by. We have been watching everybody live their dreams, accomplish their goals, but we're still stuck in the same place. I have a problem with that. I do. But I understand why so many of us are just content to wait and hope that life gives us a sign that maybe it's time to do something with our lives. Well, if you're waiting on that sign, yo, I got your sign. Your sign is right here. It's time to take over. Your break is over. It's time for you to get aggressive with your life. But again, I understand. I understand why we are so comfortable watching things happen to us but not playing an active role in our lives. Yo, I need you to take some main character energy about your life and quit trying to win the best supporting actor award for your life. The supporting actor in your life, there should be no such thing, and you should not be playing that role. Because if you don't step into your life and begin to play an active role in it, you will not have a life left to live. And as this is your one on one life coaching session, I cannot allow you to leave this session with it in your brain that it's okay to sit back and wait for stuff to happen. There are going to be things that need to happen in your life that are not going to happen unless you take the steering wheel and you begin to steer the car toward that thing. Who hops in a boat? Who hops in a boat and just says, okay, wind, take me where you want to take me? Who does that? Now, truthfully, I know that there are some people who do that, and some of those people we never hear from again. But really, realistically, would you hop in a boat with anybody that did not have some type of a rudder to help you steer where you're going? Would you hop in a car with no steering wheel and you just hit the acceleration and the car just went wherever it went? No, you wouldn't. But for so many of us, that's how we live our lives. And I understand why that happens. When we're born and, up until, 15, 16, 17, 18, we can rely on our parents to tell us where to go and what to do when we get there, right? Our parents tell us what to eat. They teach us how to tie our shoes, right? When we get into college, or wherever you want, whatever you want to do after high school. But even when you get into high school, it's still about learn this, do this with it. There's not a whole lot. Students don't have a whole lot of choice in what they learn in high school. And I know it. And we have these standardized tests that say if you can't regurgitate this information, then you can't graduate. And so we quickly learn this pattern of it doesn't matter what I do. All I need to learn is what they tell me to learn. All I need to do is what they tell me to do, and I can get there. So many students, I was one of them. I could regurgitate what you wanted me to regurgitate. That didn't mean that I was smart. That didn't mean that I was top 20% or whatever all of these different metrics are that they have for us in school. I just learned how to do school. And for so many of us in our lives, we think we've learned how to do life because we get a job. Our boss says, be here at this time, do this, you get a paycheck. If you go a little bit extra and our business hits these metrics, boom, you get a bonus. Boom, you get a raise. Boom, you get a promotion. But for so many of us, there comes a time, and maybe it was in your 20s, maybe it's in your 30s, maybe it's in your 40s, maybe it's in your 50s, 60s, 70s, where you awaken and you say, the hamster wheel is not working for me anymore. I have spent my entire life doing what everybody has told me to do, but I have never once stopped to really think about what it is that I want to do. And not just that, it's not that I just haven't thought about what I want to do, it's that I haven't even put a plan in place where I can say, here's what I want to do. And here are the steps that are going to take me to where I want to be. Because, if you don't take control of your life, if you don't get aggressive about your goals, if you don't say it's time for me to take over, then guess what? Nobody's going to come and save you when that car that has no steering wheel goes off course and you crash into. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to come and save you when that sailboat that you're in, that you're just enjoying the breeze. When the breeze stops, nobody knows where you are, so nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. The government's not coming to save you. The government has nothing in place to help you get yourself out of trouble when you've allowed life just to happen to you. Search the laws, search the statutes, search the regulations, listen in to the Senate and the House committee meetings. There is nothing in their minutes that talks about how to save you from a life that you've allowed to happen to you. So if it's meant to be, if it's going to be, as the saying says, it's up to me. And so the entire point of this entire episode is to encourage you as a follow-up from last week, where I told you not to spend this last 4 weeks of the year just coasting. I'm coming back to that point, and I'm telling you, as a part of your not coasting, it is time for you to take control of your life. It is time for you to look at your life with extreme ownership and say, I'm here because I allowed this to happen. I made some bad choices. I made some bad investments. I haven't planned. I haven't set goals. When I have set goals, I haven't followed through on those goals. And so here I am. Here I am. And you know what? If you're going to take control of your life, if you're going to become aggressive with your life, step one is understanding that I am where I am because I allowed it to happen. I didn't get it. I didn't learn the skill. Okay. All right. I take ownership for that, but I'm not content to stay there. And I'm not going to stay there. I remember, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. So my first career was in human resources. And I very much came out of that vein of thinking where it was more along the lines of get you a good job, keep that good job, stay in that good job, get the pension from that good job, and just live your life and be happy with it. My first job out of school was as a welder. Okay, I know I didn't want to weld long term, but it was a cool first job. I learned a lot from it. My first career job out of high school was as a human resources, in human resources. I loved it for a minute, but then I started to wonder if there was more. Now, it was in a point where, the culture that I grew up in, you got a good job and you didn't leave that good job. You didn't even think about leaving. So if you were going to teach, you were just going to teach. You were a lifetime teacher. If you were in business, you were a lifetime business person. You didn't go out. You didn't think about starting anything. You didn't think about doing anything else except continuing to become adept in your business. Got to a point where human resources wasn't doing it for me. And I watched my wife come home from work every day and she was ready to go back the next day, even when she had a bad day. Like, man, let me check this teaching gig out. And it got to a point where, God really had to push me into a corner and say, here's what I want for you. This is next. Okay, go teach. So I went and I started teaching. But then after roughly 6, 7, 8 years of teaching, I knew that teaching wasn't going to be my forever love. It wasn't going to satisfy me for the rest of my life. And when I talk to you all about knowing that point when the winds are shifting, you need to be aware of that. You need to take note of that. You need to journal through it so that you understand where that discomfort is coming from. For me, it wasn't the fact that I didn't like being around the students. I love the students, but I began to see the writing on the walls of what education was quickly becoming. And I understood that for what it was becoming and for what it would require, it wasn't the thing that I could continue to do with fidelity, knowing that I had different values for my life. But listen, I'd already left one career. And here I was having designs on leaving another. And so for me, it was through hiring a coach. Manny Hall of Manning Hall and Associates. It was through hiring a coach that I was able to decipher what this discomfort was and prayer. But I was able to decipher what this discomfort was. And it was also a part of during a time in my life where I was on Clubhouse. And everybody on Clubhouse was talking about get your own, build your own business, have something on the side. I'd never heard that before. And so as I began to explore what I was good at, where my passions were, my passions were for people. My passions were for helping people to align with the purpose and to gain clarity on what that purpose was, and then to equip them to navigate whatever that lane was, whatever that journey was. That's what I really wanted to do. That's where my heart was. My heart was for serving people in such a way that they were able to determine where they wanted to go, and I could help them get there. So then I knew that I wanted to go into coaching. I knew that coaching was going to be my lane. In addition to that lane, podcasting, because I love to speak. I love to communicate. And so for me, what did that entail? That entailed me beginning to read. That entailed for me beginning to watch people who were making content. For me, that, yo, the first, I started making digital content over COVID. And my content every day was getting on TikTok and praying for people. And I did that every day for right around 2 years before I decided that I needed to shift, not leaving prayer behind, but beginning to incorporate mindset strategies and motivational messages that are intent on reaching somebody who needs to hear a hopeful word. Now, when I switched over from praying to giving motivational messages, my views immediately dropped. My prayers on TikTok would get thousands of views. My motivational messages would get 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe 100, maybe 200 views. Went over to Instagram, started doing the same thing. 200 views is the cap. And I know that there are strategies for getting around that. I understand that. But here's my thing, and here's what I want you to get from all of this. I took ownership for where I wanted to go. And I understood that if there was not a steering wheel to get me there, I would have to build my own. If there was not a rudder on the sailboat, I would have to craft my own. But what I understood was that I could not continue going through life unhappy. I could not keep going through life saying, wow, why does this keep happening to me? I had to take ownership and understand that throughout my life, I had been taught and I had come to understand that making choices, nah. I just keep going with the status quo. I would just keep going with the status quo. But for me now, the status quo is no more. My life is going to be what I pray about, what I speak about, and what I do. Because I believe that God orders my steps. I believe that faith is the thing that makes it happen. But I also know and I also believe that God has given me skills. God has given me ability. And what I do with those skills and what I do with those ability will define the legacy that I leave behind, but also what happens with the faith that I say that I have. I can't just say that I have faith and not do anything with it. I can't just say that I want to be a life coach who's specializing in empowering and equipping men to live fruitful and fulfilled lives. I cannot say that and still not do anything to prepare my life for those clients which will come in. Because what's going to happen? A client comes, Coach Jay, I want to hire you to be my life coach. Oh, do you? Really? That's great. I really don't have anything to offer you right now, but you can listen to my podcast and you can get what you can get from there. And you can, level up your life. No, that's not good enough. That is not good enough for me. I'm cheating myself. And there are many of you out there right now who are cheating yourselves because you refuse to be aggressive about your life. You refuse to become addicted to the goals that you're setting. You refuse to send the email. You refuse to become a bother to people. Listen to me. You refuse. Somebody needs to hear this. And when I say this, it is going to immediately set you free from what has plagued you for so long. Some of you, your breakthrough, your blessing is as close as your next email. But because you send the email and you don't get a response, you say, "Oh, maybe this is not supposed to happen." No, 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 no. I do that once a podcast, right? No, 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 no. Send the email again and again and again until you get the response that you're looking for. What's the worst thing? They block you? Okay, whatever. But don't let it be said that you took no the first time and you refuse to go back to see what could happen. Yo, you need to listen to me. I'm only telling you what I know. Go back to the well until the well is dry. Go back to the boss, go back to the hiring manager, go back to the instructor. You might think, "Oh, I don't want to be a bother." I'm giving you permission to keep pestering and pestering and bothering because the Bible calls that knocking. Knock and the door will be open unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Ask, and you'll get the answer. I'm speaking to somebody. There are people out there, you don't even read the Bible, you don't believe in God. That's fine. But this is practical life living stuff that so often we leave stuff on the table because we don't do it. Keep knocking until somebody opens the door. And if they tell you no, go back and keep knocking again. A couple of episodes ago, I think, I talked about Myron Golden making a game in sales of seeing how quickly he could get to 10 no's. So he went into it expecting the no's. But what he realized was that he began to get so good at getting yeses that it began to get really, really hard to get no's. They tell you in sales that the offer that you don't make is the offer that you don't get. And so I'm talking to you, artist, who got told no at one museum, so you will never present your work in a museum again. I'm talking to you, business person, salesperson, who doesn't like to be told no, so you don't mention on your social media about your product, about your good, and about your service. And I get it because I was you. I just didn't like posting about my podcast. Didn't like posting about my ebooks and the books I wrote because people would get sick of hearing about me talking about the stuff that I made like I'm not supposed to be proud about it. That's a me problem. That's not a them problem. I quit knocking, and I'm encouraging you to not quit knocking, to not quit emailing, to not quit. Take ownership. Get aggressive with your life. You have the choice with the rest of this year. You know what your goals are. If you don't know what your goals are, you need to write down and know what your goals are. But if you know what your goals are, what it's going to take for you to accomplish those goals is for you to get it in your gut, to get it in your chest and in your heart that I'm not stopping. I know who to talk to. I know where they are. So I'm just going to email them. And when I don't hear back in a week, I'm going to email them again. And when I don't hear back in a week, I'm going to call and leave a message. And when I don't hear back in a week, I'm going to call and leave another message. They gonna get sick of me. And that's fine. Because you have to understand, my brother, my sister, my future client. You have to understand that you can have all the faith in the world that something's going to happen for you. But unless you take ownership and begin to work like it all depends on you, then nothing is ever going to happen. I saw a quote. It was at Johnson College in Knoxville, Tennessee. It said, pray like it all depends on faith, like on prayer. Pray like it all depends on prayer. Have faith like it all depends on faith, and work like it all depends on you. I am speaking to somebody. I am challenging you that you need to work. You need to read the books to get the skills. You need to put the skills into practice, building prototypes and making courses and refining your skills and your abilities. If you're going to be a speaker, look yourself in the mirror and give yourself the best speech possible. Don't just rely on the affirmations. You've got to put some work in behind it. And in my Facebook group, we just finished a 30-day affirmation challenge. And every day I'm telling my people, yo, it's not enough to give the words. The words have to spark something in you that says, I can do this, so I am going to do it. And yo, I'm so serious that I know that inside of you is the heart of a champion. It's the heart of a lion. It's the heart of a winner. But you know what winners do? They do. Winners do. Therefore, winners win. And it doesn't matter how many times they fail, because they take each failure as a learning opportunity. And when you are ready to get aggressive with your life, to you, it doesn't matter how many times you fail, because you think that very next time is going to be a win. Listen, you hear basketball players talk about it all the time. I don't care about missing shots, because I believe the next shot's going to go in. And if the next shot doesn't go in, then the next shot is going to go in. If you would take that mindset into your life aggressively, listen to me. I got to say it again. Take over. Your break is over. Your break from your life is over. Your break from responsibilities is over. Your break from your dreams is over. It's over. It's over. It's over. I'm talking to people who need to aggressively pursue life and living before 2023 is up. You've let 11 and a half months pass, 10 and a half, whatever. Now it's time for you to get busy living your life. Because if you don't, nobody's going to live it for you. I'm asking you to break free from the matrix. And I'm asking you to begin living your life in such a way that it inspires somebody else to live their life. Remember, a rising tide lifts all ships. And in the Pep Squad, we live not just for ourselves, but we live to improve the lives of others. And so I dare you that before this year is up, you own your life. You own your time. I mean, if you just want to sit down and watch TV all day, at least own it. And don't just say, oh, life is against me, I can't do anything. It's because you're not doing anything. If you say, I don't know how to do it, it's because you haven't read the book. You haven't made the investment in the training, in the class, in the coach. You haven't done it. It's about you. It's not about everybody else. It's about you owning that you're not living your life. Because nobody's coming to save you. And it gets to a point where nobody's going to come to you and tell you you're wasting your breaths. You're wasting your heartbeat. It is within each and every one of you listening, and even those who are not listening, to be a master at anything that you choose. But it's also within each and every one of us to choose not to be a master of anything. And I fear that that's what so many of us are doing. We are choosing to not be the master of anything. That's not what I want from you. And I pray that that's not what you want from yourself. Because you were made for so much more. You were made to accomplish so much more. But that more will be locked on the inside of you, being stifled and dying, unless you aggressively start to live your life. So I want to know, what are your thoughts on this? Am I wrong? Am I right? Hit me up at _JB Speaks on Instagram. Join our Facebook community. Let me know what you think. If you're watching this on YouTube, drop a comment. Let me know. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Or am I right? I want to know what you think. I want to know your questions about this. How can I help you along this journey? Send me an email at thepeppodcast@gmail.com. I want to hear from you. Okay? And again, your life is your life. You only get one. You don't get to repeat heartbeats. You don't get breaths back. Each one, once it's gone, is gone. So what are you going to do with what you have? What are you going to do? Are you going to aggressively live your life? Or are you going to sit back with the pacifier in your mouth and just allow life to pass you by? As for me, yo, I have stuff that I need to do, and I'm about it. And I think you're about it too. You're about it, aren't you? That's right, you're about it. Y'all, this has been the episode 15 of the Pep Talk Podcast. I cannot believe that aside from a short break in July, I have been with you all since January. And y'all have been rocking and rolling with me, and I'm so thankful for you. I love you. Yo, keep tapping in on the socials. Join the Facebook community. The link is in the show notes. Y'all, we're in the last month of the year. It's time to get it. It is time to go after it. And I'm going after it. Please tell me you're going after it too. Y'all be blessed. Y'all know how we like to end the podcast. Keep it love, keep it light, and keep it peppy. It's episode 15 of the Pep Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Jay, and y'all be blessed. Peace.